Welcome back, guys, to Overtakes. This is Misfit.
And I'm Kel.
And we're going to do some talking about Week 5. We're going to talk about the first 3 days right here real quick on this episode. Just because Saturday and the playoffs were just so incredible that we just wanted to separate them from everything else.
Yeah, they're entirely deserving of their own show, so we wanted to make sure we touched enough on both of those things because it was so good and we don't want to miss anything.
Logan's pretty much in agreement.
Yep.
Logan's my dog. He's over here groaning. But yeah, the first 3 days, though, I mean, there's some playoff implications in there. Mm-hmm. Teams had to win. There were some good matches and some head-scratching things going on. But there just wasn't enough to talk about that was necessary to talk about.
Right.
There were math differential things and then the craziness with that. But other than that, I think we just wanted to separate because every match on Saturday actually was great.
Yeah.
Every single match, including the Mayhem and the Fusion for like that in between the important matches. They put on a good show.
That was a great game. Probably the best game that Florida's played all season.
Absolutely.
And that's even including their win.
Yeah. Well, Shanghai was a little disheveled at that point. I think they just weren't playing. But anyway, so let's hit the first 3 days. So Wednesday, we're going to talk a little bit about the first match of the day because even though like it didn't have any playoff implications, but Shanghai looked incredible to me. I mean,
they look worlds better than they have in the entire rest of the season, and I think hands down probably most improved team from where they were when they started.
Absolutely.
Even though they didn't get they didn't get a win. This was probably the most complete game that they've played yet. I think
they won maps.
Yeah, they won maps. They held off a few times when they really needed to, and that's a huge improvement over what they've been able to do.
And I think their communication has gotten better.
Yes,
because they didn't have that like in the first few matches they had that panic bullshit going on. Like the first 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
They didn't panic, and they gave Dallas a fight.
Yeah.
And Dallas didn't look terrible. They didn't look great.
No.
But they didn't look terrible. I think Shanghai just looked good.
Yeah, in some ways Dallas looked a lot better than they have.
Yeah.
When they held and they did well, they really looked like the team that we thought that they were going to be.
Yeah.
But then other times their ugliness showed its head too.
Yeah.
In this game, whereas Shanghai pretty much consistently played at a pretty high level.
Yeah, they did. Their tanks were markedly better, but that's still where they need improvement
still their
a lot.
Downfall. And so I think in season 2 or in stage 2, they're going to look for them to be a much more dangerous team.
Yeah, I don't think you can't sleep on them.
No, especially with the people they're bringing in and the way that
we're going to go with allegedly on that.
Yeah. I think Shanghai's a team to watch in the stage 2, and just after watching this game in general, we can't talk about this team without mentioning Undead.
Yeah.
And wow,
give him some people to help him out. Because actually, Dia looked good too.
Yeah.
Dia looked like the guy I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, Undead and Dia
in the beginning of the season
looked fantastic.
They need help in the support tank here and the tanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, they look great. Dallas, they're at this point. I think you can hate me. You're going to have to go with them as the middle of the pack team.
Yeah,
I think they're in that San Francisco, Philadelphia range of teams where they could beat you, but they're going to beat themselves at some point on some map. Mm-hmm. It's just that they do it consistently. They look great, and then all of a sudden they fall apart somewhere in the middle. Yep. They lose a team fight, and something bad goes down. Chips looks terrible. He'll be better with the lot of these supports. I think we're going to see. We're not going to have the disparity in wins and losses aren't going to be as great in the next stage because the supports are going to be playing what they want to play, and they're going to different maps, and you're not going to be stuck on Mercy. But we'll get to that later on in the week. We'll do your preview and some of our thoughts on that.
That could also benefit Dallas because picks will mean more,
and they're a pick team.
Yes, but yeah, especially in this game. There were points where Dallas looked unstoppable, and then their inconsistencies completely reared their ugly head, and they look disheveled.
Yeah, and they fall apart like easy.
Yeah.
Also, it didn't help that Effect had personal problems and had to go back to South Korea.
Yeah.
He's the magic DPS on that team.
He is.
Him and Taimu's great too.
It's just hard. I think that's the thing with that team is they need Effect basically playing all the time, and then kind of switching between Seagull and Taimu depending on what they need.
Because that's when they were the most consistent in the season when they were flipping those two back in and out.
Yeah.
Because Taimu I don't think Taimu's a big fan of having to play Junkrat, and you have to play him on some maps now. Really, honestly, you do.
You really do.
Especially with the way teams are diving and things like that. You need that. You need the just burst damage from him.
Right.
So that's it on Dallas and Shanghai. San Francisco and LA, the Gladiators, that was, can you say that you really watched a lot of that match?
I really didn't. I had it on, but I just really wasn't paying that much attention. I've seen so much of both of these teams. I basically know what to expect. And I think that they're both going to be a lot better in the next...
So do I.
In the next stage.
And it has to do with the supports again, I think.
But as of right now, it wasn't a big deal. It had no playoff implications. I don't even think that either of these, even with all the changes, I don't think that either of these teams make it to the final playoffs. No, I don't either. I think unless something really drastic happens, they're going to be middle of the bottom of the pack, kind of. Yeah, one of them might give some other teams some fits. Trying to get into that final playoff spot, and one of them might even be slightly in the mix, but I just don't.
I don't see it.
Yeah, and if they do, they're going to be the last seed, and they're going to get trounced by whoever they play in the first round. And I'm not going on anything, but I would say they would be playing either London, New York, or Seoul, and they don't match up well against those teams. Yeah. You're going to have Dak playing more Lucio and more things he's comfortable with, so that might up them, and they're going to get. Sinatra and all that, but they don't need another DPS. No. It's not going to hurt, and so, especially someone on his level, but it's another Tracer player. But they have deeper issues than that. Yeah. They need to get some better tank play going. Mm-hmm. LA, same thing. Bishu's fine. They'll be better on the next one. That's all there really is need to say. 3-1. It was 3-1 Gladiators, but it was kind of a match. Yeah. Now, the next match... I don't think anybody saw this one coming. No. And I need to know one thing. Did the Dynasty, did their coaching staff figure out that weed's legal in California? Because I don't know they were fucking high when they set this lineup. Yeah. Why the fuck do you have the best Zen player playing Mercy the whole match? They were they didn't look good at all. No, they looked terrible. And Guido is a good Zen, but he is not. If you're worried about the support play, instead of putting Jaehong on Mercy, why don't you try Guido on Mercy and have Jaehong in there and put Toby out? Right. Because Toby's the Mercy god. He's the Lucio god. Yeah. But I don't know. It was just a head scratching match. It was a really the Valiant just fucking laid the wood to him. They took him and just beat him. Yeah. And that was so weird. Because, especially after that defeat that the Valiant had the past week, going into this, you're like, oh, God, are they just going to get steamrolled by Seoul? And it's like, no, they went the other way. They were looking ahead to Seoul. I think that answer became very, very clear. And on every level, they outplayed them, too. Yeah. Envy and Fate just destroyed them with the tanks, and Soon and Agilities were on fucking fire, man. They just ripped them apart. And their supports outplayed Jaehong and Guido, or Jaehong and Toby, or whoever was in there. It was just mind-boggling to me. I really don't know what happened there. Jaehong was just off. He could be part of this whole fucking illness thing, but he was playing Mercy, which he shouldn't have been playing anyway. Right. That's a guy with way too much skill playing a hero that requires so little skill. Right. It requires some, but when your skill level on another hero is as dominant as Jaehong top in the league. Been,
maybe behind Jonak or at the same level. He's a little bit more rounded than Jonak is, but what I'm saying is it's like taking a 350, 35 home run hitter in baseball and batting him 8th.
Right.
For no reason.
Right.
It just doesn't work. But that match infuriated me. And I'm not a Soul fan either. I just want to see good matches, and I'm going, man, this is the second letdown match that they've had where you're like, what the fuck are they doing?
Right.
And what were they saving it for? They had to win anyway.
Yeah, they needed to win this game. That's what was so perplexing to me is why would you not put in your best lineup? They had that spot.
And I don't know if it's
as soon as they lose this game, they pretty much they played themselves out of it.
Yeah. Sometimes it seems like Seoul, New York, and London, they have this overt cockiness of we can just, throw whoever out there and we're going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
And they found out this week it's really not the case.
No.
Especially when with the Valiant. They just destroyed them.
Yeah.
On every level. I never saw Seoul look that bad. They looked like they were in the range of, the bottom teams, the way they played that match. They just were uncoordinated. They just did not look good at all. And the Valiant looked the exact opposite.
Yeah. That was definitely, hands down, the best game that I've seen from the Valiant.
Like, across the board. It wasn't... Because there are a lot of times where Fate and Envy take over. Yeah. And they're,
But their whole team...
they were ready for them, and they were not letting off the throttle.
No.
Because they found out later on in the week that a couple of those matches where they just let off the throttle cost them getting the playoffs. Sure, they want that one Numbani match back from Florida. That cost them a playoff spot. Even in this one, they tied with Seoul. They should have beat them. But, you learn. These guys aren't going to... You're not going to see anybody letting up in the fourth match anymore with some of these events that happen in the week. That's pretty much it for Wednesday. Thursday, there's really nothing much to talk about except for London and Houston. Boston destroyed Philadelphia, which was a surprise. I thought they were going to beat them, but
completely dismantle them. Like I knew Boston was going to do well, but I was not expecting them to just completely roll over them.
That was more one-sided than the New York Mayhem match.
Yeah,
they made Philadelphia just look fucking bad.
Yeah, they did.
They just
every mistake that Philly made, they just built on it.
Yeah,
and just kept making.
And they were waiting. It was like they were waiting in the weeds. They were waiting for the tank, the Fraggy to dive in. Fraggy and Pogo. Pogo did not look. People are on to him now too. I think. Yeah. I think maybe that's why we were seeing some hot buff. But they were just laying in the weeds, just waiting for him. As soon as they did that, man, they just went and.
It was game
Boston
over.
Just went and said, "Okay, your tanks are dead. Bye. See ya." Florida showed up against New York. They should have won. They should have won Horizon.
Yeah.
They can't finish. They have trouble finishing.
That's still one of their biggest issues, but
they looked better.
Immensely better, especially against a far superior New York team.
And it wasn't like New York wasn't trying, because New York is not the fuck around team. They want to.
No, yeah, and this was not a case of this was definitely not a case of New York's just like, oh, we're gonna try all these screwy lineups and all this stuff. Yeah. Like they were putting in their best people.
Yeah, they had Pine in.
Florida was right there for most of the time. Yeah. I mean, they had Pine in the whole game.
It's not like Pine is like subpar on anything.
Right. And but like it kind of does show how different New York has to play when Pine is there.
Yeah. That was one of the big things I think that
the teams took away from that.
Yeah.
And how to stop Pine and stop them when they have him in there.
Well, when Pine's in there, Art can't feed Jonak the Discord, or not the Discord, the damage boost the whole time, because he's got to go heal. Because Pine's off flanking in Canada or on the moon. He was on Mars one time. There was one point I'm like going, and I think Monte Cristo was like, where is Pine actually? He was in when they were on the point.
Yeah.
And Pine was, they were getting ready to go to point B. Pine was flanking. He was in that schoolroom on Horizon. I was like, what are you doing, bro?
Right.
Everyone's running away now.
They're all over there. Next
point. That being said, though, he still comes up clutch.
Oh, yeah.
Because his mechanical skills bail him out all the time. His mechanical skills are insane.
It's absurd.
But anyway, now the match of the Thursday, London-Houston. Houston came in, and I think
Houston came in ready to play.
Yeah, and I think the one thing I think this helped London in the playoffs.
Yeah.
A little bit. They weren't ready for Houston's style.
No.
That defensive, that meaty defensive, Junkrat.
If they hadn't played each other on this day, I think Saturday would have been
a little different.
Yeah.
London looked good. You said Prophet and Birdring were still insane.
Yeah.
Which you can't ever not say that. There hasn't gone a week gone by where you've said, Prophet and Birdring look terrible.
There was 1 week.
Yeah, there was 1 week where they were kind of.
It was the past couple.
Boston
weeks,
shut them down.
The past couple weeks, London has been very hot or cold.
Yeah. But those two generally are mediocre on their worst day.
Right, for sure. Yeah, there was a few games where they didn't take over. Yeah.
The only team that really, really shut them down, other than Houston kind of in this one, was Boston, when Boston played them. And that was also, I don't think they were ready for their skill level.
Right.
Boston's skill level, that is. But, yeah, Houston showed what they're made of. Their tank play is insanely good. Mm-hmm. With Lynxer in there, they are so much different.
Yeah, they are. They are really hard to stop. And then I think this was probably the game where their support stepped up the biggest.
I would say
this was probably the best game I've seen from Ruckus, hands down.
Yeah, and he was doing everything fire. Too. He was doing everything. He was hitting discords, but hitting right clicks. His ult economy was like almost flawless.
When he needed to come in with a
he was fantastic.
He was right there.
And Bonnie and Boink were good too.
Yeah.
When they had Boink in there, they didn't have him in this match because they weren't running too much Lucio. Yeah. But I remember when we were talking before when we were doing our picks, and we said London had to win that first map.
Yeah.
Because they had the 2 maps that they're terrible on coming up next, and they got fucked.
Yep.
I was watching it going, oh, they're in trouble now.
Yep. And yeah,
for some reason, I don't know what it is about that team. I love their players, but when they're playing, I root against them. I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I was rooting for Houston in that one.
Yeah.
And Houston just impressed me. What else can you say about Muma and Cool Matt? The way those two guys work together, they are so good. I just like their tank play is incredible. And in Lynxer, we were talking about Pine's mechanical skills.
Yeah. Lynxer is right up there.
I think there was one point, I think he was on McCree and he was at 51% accuracy.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
And he had like almost 20% critical hit accuracy too, which is even more like that's absurd.
And you got to figure, because they're like me and you. There's a few times when you're playing McCree, you hit fan the hammer and you use your accuracy, or you're just fucking spamming a choke point.
Right.
Although when he spams a choke point, he usually takes 3 people out.
He just gets that perfect angle on him.
Yeah, his positioning with McCree is ridiculous.
Yeah,
same thing with Widow. When he plays on Widow,
oh man, some of his flying headshots are gross,
and he's terrifying behind that stupid Orisa barrier.
Oh yeah,
absolutely terrifying. Like when they play on Anubis and they have that high boosted thing up there. Oh man, you have to figure out because you can't even give it a little poke out in your head because you're dead.
You almost have to run that thing that Dallas did when they had Doomfist come in on the statue and try to like just break it up as much as you can. Yeah,
even if you just come in with one of those shatters and kind of fly.
And then I feel like to make that effective, you need to have a Doomfist and a Winston jump in at the same time.
And Diva backing up your Doomfist to give him protection with the defense matrix. Because that's the only way you're going to break that thing up.
Right.
And then maybe knock them on the ground. And honestly, I would maybe even go to break that thing up. I would go Reaper on the ground. Mm-hmm. You get them on the ground and you just pound them.
And you just wreck them. Yeah.
I mean, to me, I think Reaper's underutilized on that point A.
Yes.
Mostly because with Widowmaker, he's just a fucking flying target.
He is.
But if you can get him in on the side on that building, especially if they're not running on the high point, they're running on over the bridge.
Yeah.
If you can get him in on that side, like you Wraith form in and get behind that tanks with the Junkrat and all that, you can do some damage. And the Doomfist thing works on there too, especially, they're reworking them here and there and all that, but also, what's going to work on that is when they rework Sombra.
Yeah.
When they rework Sombra.
That'll be a good one too.
Because once you get rid of that Orisa shield, Widowmaker's a sitting duck. Yep. Especially if you have another one or you have some, but yeah, Houston Houston took it to them in that one. And I think London used that as a big learning experience. They were running a lot of weird... They had... I think they were resting... But both of their lineups, it's different than like Seoul, like putting weird people in. I mean, their whole lineup's good too. But London's got that double lineup.
Yeah.
And I think...
Yeah, they basically have two teams.
Two teams that could be in the top 5.
Right.
Okay, so on to Friday. Friday was just positioning day.
Yeah.
There really wasn't anything... There wasn't really anything noteworthy. Dallas got another win.
Yeah.
Against the Gladiators.
They looked a lot
terrible.
better in this game. And the Gladiators they just looked like they had completely given up on this stage, and they're just like, just let it end.
Yeah. Which
we've got
I think they were trying some different things too.
Yeah.
Just watching, I watched a little bit of it. They were kind of trying some different things against Dallas, which I can't blame anyone for it in the last part of this stage. I mean, I know you got to win maps and win games and all that, but when you're that far down the standings, you're just praying to get to 6. You're not praying to get to 1.
Yeah.
These other teams that we're going to talk about in a second, they have to worry about maps because if they're going to be anything that anyone said they were in the beginning of the year, they got to get up there. Which brings us to the next next match, Seoul and San Francisco, which another shocker.
Yeah.
Seoul drops 2 maps to them.
And this was the game that knocked them out. Even though they won.
They should have 4-0'd them. I mean, honestly, they did not need to go 5.
They needed to 4-0 it. And by them not doing that, they really shot themselves in the foot and kept themselves out of the playoffs.
I'm gonna say one thing they said on the broadcast that everyone went nuts about on fucking Twitter and Reddit. Jae-Hong played like shit. Deal with it.
Yeah.
He was terrible. He's one of my favorite, if not my favorite player in the league.
And he was garbage.
He looked like garbage.
Yeah.
He had his ult economy was awful. And this was him playing Zen. Mm-hmm. This wasn't him fucking around on Mercy. He had a bad game. And if you guys can't handle someone saying this player you're like college football fans, some of you.
Right.
Don't talk bad about Oklahoma. You know what? They suck sometimes, all right? Yep. Baker Mayfield threw 6 interceptions. Bad game.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, Jae-Hong, bad game. Yeah. Against a team that they should have whipped.
Oh, they should
have destroyed them.
that game.
And
hands down.
Going 5 against... And, I'm going to give some credit to San Francisco. They played well.
They did play well.
Baby
Bay looked excellent.
And their supports look great.
And that's
a good step for them, I think.
Far and away the best game I've seen from Dak this entire season.
I think it was. I think Dak is one of those positive kind of guys. He's like, all right, let's finish this on a high note, and let's just let's see what we can do. I mean, they took him to 5 maps.
Taking 2 maps from Seoul. That's a big deal.
That's a big deal, and that's gonna like you said about Florida taking that 1 map away from the Valiant.
Playing spoiler to keep in because not only did they didn't win, but they kept Seoul because they kept Seoul out of the playoffs, and I feel like any team is going to be happy about that when you can come in and play a team that you know is superior to you, and you can keep them from getting to a playoff spot. That's got to feel good as hell.
It does, and you see that in other sports too, where you give a team a run and. You get even like in the NFL, you see that once in a while. Where
I feel like you mostly see it in like baseball is where you really see it.
You have that series in September where you got to beat the Pirates or something like that, and
and the Pirates just come out and they sweep you. Yeah, just like let's get a big win.
And now you're the wild card.
Right.
Good luck with that. Valiant showed up on this on the last match on Friday. Valiant showed up again. Yeah. The Valiant played insane. I kind of, as much as I liked the playoffs, I kind of wanted to see what the Valiant could do in there because the way they were playing, they had a
going into it. The way that they played this week, especially after how disappointing they were last week.
Yeah, they just came in and they were just wrecking. And Shanghai did not look like they did on Wednesday because they played a far superior team.
Yeah,
and that's all that was. And Undead was still playing like Undead.
Yeah, he still was. He still probably single-handedly gave them a few points that they had no business getting.
Oh yeah. The first map went 5-3, but it was like Undead, and then towards the end, I think
Shanghai just kind of knew.
Yeah, towards the end, the Valiant just
the Valiant just took took hold after the game. Once they took Anubis, they just took hold and they didn't let go.
They said, "Look, we can't lose another point.
Right?
We cannot.
We need every single map right now.
Yeah, and they did
still
that.
Wasn't enough.
Yeah, because that happens when you don't finish.
Yep.
It happens in every sport.
Yeah, and I feel like that's that's going to be a big motivator for them going into the next stage.
They can look at 2 matches. They can look at the tie map they had against Seoul. Mm-hmm. Actually, I wouldn't even. All right, let's not even count the Seoul match. The 3-2 that they had, that the Gladiators took them to.
Yep.
And the one, I know it was one map, and I keep saying this. The one map that Florida beat them, Gladiators, I'd give them a 3-1.
Yeah.
But that map they lost to the Gladiators, and the extra map they had to play with the Gladiators, and the one they had to play with Florida, cost them a playoff spot.
Yep.
You learn from things like that. And I'm not saying that they totally let off the gas, but when you need to go they're going to try and go 4-0. All these teams, these big teams, are going to try and 4-0 everybody.
I mean, that's why Houston got in, because they had
that streak.
They had that streak where they were just 4-0ing and 4-0ing and 4-0ing, and like when it comes down to you've got 4 teams with the same record, the map differential is a huge difference. And if they go into head-to-head and all that stuff once they're tied, if they're tied in map differential. Right. But I mean, that's one thing that hurt Boston a little bit. Yeah.
You know? I mean, they've been 4-0 people, but a map here or there early in the season, but no one really expected them to be there except for us. But
yeah, I mean, Boston looked good. Yeah. They actually, overall, I think they were probably the most improved team. Absolutely, like hands down. As much as Shanghai has looked a lot better than they did at the beginning. They looked a lot better, but record-wise, but
they still have their moments where they're terrible.
Yeah.
Boston's like a totally different team than they were the first week of the season.
For sure. Boston looked like a dumpster fire to start the first couple games, and then something clicked, and they went on a roll.
Yep. And that was one of those things, like in the beginning of the season, we were saying, give it time. These guys are learning. They're learning, how other teams play. Mm-hmm. And it's like, early, like the first couple weeks of the season, it's like they were going in and they were kind of getting a feel for what was going on, and then they kind of got into their game in week three out.
Yeah,
and they look fantastic.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some of those early games that they wish they could go back, but I think that's just going to make them even hungrier in stage 2.
Yeah, I also think they're going to have to keep their game up too, because I think nobody's going to be sleeping on them.
No, they will not. They will not be slept on anymore.
No. All right, so that is the bulk of the first week, Wednesday through Friday. Okay, so we are going to hit you guys up a little bit later with our Saturday and playoff review. So don't forget to hit a like, subscribe, and we will talk to you later.
Catch you guys on the next one later.